the man who's always behind the camera. And for
Another
good
day,
reason.
another victory well for the OG.
I'm so glad that you're on finally the podcast.
I know.
It's been a
Always
minute.
behind the camera.
Always behind the camera.
Always watching but never doing, you know.
Always watching. This is my brother, David Velez. If you have followed me for any portion of time, then you have seen something that he's created because he helps me with pretty much all my content. He's a photographer, videographer. What doesn't the man do?
I don't know.
We're here to discover his weaknesses
Right.
and the things he doesn't do.
Right.
But no, we're now back to being roomies.
Right.
Bro, actually weird ass full circle.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's circles that you close in life, but then this is like a giant weird ass circle. Like,
All we're missing is Pablo.
yeah, and honestly, let's not hope for that,
Yeah.
because if Pablo moves back too, we're entering an apocalypse.
Yeah. Right.
That's like, I don't know if I'm ready for that level of
Yeah.
healing. But life update, I am now moved back in with my parents and David. And I just told my parents last night, was it last night? The night before, that I'm going to be moving to Miami. I'm going to be moving to Miami hopefully in January. Sooner the better. Sooner the better.
Yeah.
The sooner the better.
Right.
But it's like weird. It's weird that all of this would happen. It's just, timing is so crazy. Like, I feel like you can't plan for things. They just kind of happen to you. Like, I had this idea to move to Miami for a while. I didn't ever really know how or when it was going to happen. I actually had a conversation with my Reiki master, with my Reiki healer, and it clicked for me that if I don't move to Miami, then I will never move to Miami.
Right.
Like, if you do not put action behind what you want, then what you want won't happen. So as soon as I align myself with, okay, let's set that mindset. I'm going to move to Miami. What are the first steps I need to move to Miami? Like, what are the first steps I need to accomplish to make that a reality? Getting my house rented. Mm-hmm. I had been honestly wanting and thinking about renting my house for at least a year and a half.
Right.
Within a literal month, I have all the rooms in my house rented. Just because I became aligned with the shit that I knew that I should have been doing anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's like I feel like a lot of people nowadays, especially, like, you get so comfortable in a certain position, and then you don't know what the steps are to get out of that being comfortable.
The comfort zone,
Yeah. And so then it's like, it's easy to be in that comfort zone, and then it's like, why look for the steps if, like, I'm comfortable?
Yeah, talk
you know?
shit.
I mean, it's true. I mean,
No, it is true.
It's true, because I feel like even me, like, you know, that's why I left college, because I was so comfortable being in college. I didn't like college, but I was comfortable because I knew that I could get a degree, and that at some point I'd get a job. But I was like, if I do that, I'm going to be miserable because I don't even want this degree.
Well, and if you're already miserable, then it kind of doesn't get better.
Right.
You know, you have to either switch your mentality or switch what you're doing. But, like, I feel like if you're miserable doing something and you're expecting to not be miserable eventually,
The outcome, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's like what is it? It's like the law of cause and effect. It's like, what is in the cause is in the effect. Like, what is in the recipe is what you put before you bake it is gonna be in it once it's baked.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I feel the same way. I feel like it's weird though, because when we talk about comfort zones, I feel like people think comfy wumpy zones. Like, they're gonna be in their Snuggie on the couch, but it's like your comfort zone is also the traumas that you're addicted to. It's like the stress that you constantly fill your life with that's actually just like busy work for you. Like, you know, like the little daily tasks that make you think that you're moving forward, but you're really like chasing your own tail.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's how I kind of was for a while there, especially with my house, because it was weird. I feel like my house, everyone enters your life for a reason. We know this. We've heard this from like every person on Instagram now. But it's interesting because I feel that my house, since the beginning, I knew I was supposed to be there. I mean, you already know, like, how I got my house. Like, I was looking for a house with my ex, and I saw that house go on the market, and it was way above our price range because it was like a full have to gut it, remodel it. And I was like, dang, they're asking a lot. At the time, a lot was like 325 or actually I think it was more than that at the beginning. It was, it was like 360 something in the beginning. And then it dropped down to 325. And then once it dropped down, like 6 months later, it dropped down to 325. When it dropped down to 325, I was like, okay, let's go look at it. At least let's just get a feel for it. And that's when I walked into the house and I was like, I just know it's going to be mine. Like even before I wanted that house or even knew what it was going to be, I said it was going to be in that area. I literally also predicted that we would get it from somebody that had passed away, which is nothing that I'm proud of, but like weird coincidence that I had been looking at houses maybe 6 months prior before I even had seen that house. And I made a comment to my parents that I feel in the area that I live, it's a lot of like older people, and a lot of those older people are now moving out of the neighborhoods, and like the newer generations are moving in. So you have this like really old people or like really young families. And so I was like, wow, I really want a newer house because the plots, the land is so much better. It's not like stacked up next to each other. Anyway, long story short, I pretty much know for a fact that this house had to be in my journey for a reason. Yeah. And when my ex and I split and I ended up staying with the house, I realized, like, it took me like a year and a half to realize, like, oh, it was never about the house. It was about what I was proving with the maintenance of the house. And like, who am I proving that to? Because in the beginning, I did realize, and if you reference last podcast with Sam, I talked a little bit about it, where I got out of my relationship and I realized that I was maintaining everything by myself. So I was like, okay, cool. I can do this by myself. I've been doing this by myself. Like I've been paying the bills. I've been doing the cooking, the cleaning, the whatever. So let me just keep doing it. And it became something that didn't bring me joy, but I felt kind of like, I felt like I was getting my value from that. Like I was proving something to him, proving something to my family. And making you feel better. Right. It was like kind of making me feel better, but in reality, it wasn't for me at all. And then honestly, I kind of microdosed one time and I was like walking around my house and I was just like, it's not about the house. It's not about the house. I was like, I started to think more than anything, like, where have I felt at home? And I started to think about, honestly, times in my life that I wasn't even in my house. Like the times that I felt the most at home have been like when me and Anna were like in Miami, just like shooting content, making connections, like really pushing the podcast. We're just like barely in a hotel room. We're like in my car, pretty much living out of my car for a weekend. Right. And I was like, I feel more at home in situations like that than I do in a place. Like the home is not. So then that's when I was like, okay, let me kind of like start to expand whatever. And so now here we are. I finally have kind of detached myself, and it's a weird full circle thing because I detached myself from it like more emotionally, and then it came the process of having to clear out my house to move out, and then there was a physical clearing out where it was like I was realizing like, damn, like I still have things that are his, like I still have things from my past relationship. And now that I'm so much more in tune with like energies and like all this stuff, I think to myself like, oh, maybe this is why I've felt that like stuck feeling, because I literally have kept things that have that same frequency, that have that same energy from when I was stuck in those that relationship, you know, and like stuck in that part of my life. So now I'm at a point where I've rented that out. I now feel detached from it, and I feel so grateful for it because, like I said, I think that everything happens for a reason, and that house definitely came into my life to teach me something. Right. You know, it's like 100%. And it's so crazy too when you start thinking about it. It's like for that house to come into my life to teach me a lesson, or to teach me what it had to teach me. Walter, God rest his soul. Walter was the person who owned the house before me. He owned it from when it was constructed in 1981 until I purchased it. Wow. So it's kind of crazy I think when you start to think about people's ancestors and how they say like, oh, our ancestors play a role in like who we are and all this stuff. It's like how many generations and how many other people have actually had a hand in your life, in your journey, in your healing, and you would have never known it. You know, it's like Walter had to keep that house exactly how it was so that I would invest what I invested in. So I would have to learn what it's like to invest my own money into something and have to create something. And like, you know, it's so many little lessons that all have to do with so many other moving parts that we don't even realize.
Well, it's funny because like I actually had this kind of exact conversation the other day with Raul, and we were talking about how like we're in Hawaii and you know we're having a great time, but we were like looking at these apartments and we're like, would you like if you had a place right there? It was just like a random little place, like it wasn't anything fancy at all, would you be happy? Right? We looked at it. I was like, I'd be happy with a shack in Hawaii. You know what I mean? Right? And then we got down to it, and I was like, okay, that's awesome. I think it's great that you'd be happy, but like, why not? Why would you not want more? Mm-hmm. Right? Because it's not about like being comfortable. Isn't about like not being happy where you are.
Right.
But it's the fact that it's like you could have more.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like a lot of people don't see that, and I think a part of that is because I feel like we have such a plain view about like what good and bad is, and that relates to humble and selfish.
True.
And it's like life isn't about being one or the other. It's about finding a balance between both. And like I feel like if you make a decision where, yes, I'm humble and I'm appreciative of where I'm at, but I can be a little bit selfish of myself and take myself to another place where, okay, maybe, you know, I am struggling a bit with my bills. Okay, let me pick up another job. You know what I mean? It's like, why not feel a little, even more comfortable technically,
Right.
because you're not going to have to worry about those bills. So I feel like a lot of times it's like just finding the balance. Like it's like, yeah, it's not comfortable isn't meaning like that you don't want more for yourself. It's just you're not willing to do it.
Yeah. Or yeah. I also think that, I guess you're right. I think there's a difference, because there is a difference between when somebody says like, oh, are you comfortable? And you're like, yes, it's a positive, right? Like,
Right.
oh, are you comfortable? Like, are you good? Are you comfortable?
Right.
You want them to be comfortable. It's yes. But then it's like when you're in life, it's like, oh, are you comfortable? It's
Yeah.
like, then get up.
Yeah.
You know? So actually, I think that there is kind of like, what is that? A double standard
Right.
on the word comfortable. And yeah, I do think that when you're comfortable in your comfort zone, or when you stay in that comfort zone, I think that you just have so much more, you kind of could become blind to the process. Like you become blind, and things that, I don't know why I think about this all the time. You know, when you did multiple choice answer exams, well, they would always say that those are not good for you, like not good for you to take, because if you get an answer wrong and you don't correct it, then you're always going to associate that with the yeah. And I almost feel like that's kind of how I see a comfort zone. It's like you're doing the test, but you get the answer wrong, or it's like not the right answer, but you keep doing the same thing because you keep doing the same thing.
Right.
So it's like that comfort zone just kind of keeps reinforcing things that aren't necessarily getting you closer to what you want. But again, it kind of becomes like that busy work. It's like you are doing the process. Like, yeah, you're showing up for the test,
Right.
but the test isn't getting you anywhere.
Exactly.
And it's like, but it's hard to really reflect, I think, and see that you are in a comfort zone, because
Right.
it takes getting to know your intention.
Exactly.
And I think that when it comes to comfort, I think that's what it is. It's like, what's the intention here? Is the intention to grow? Then comfort zone isn't what you need right now. But it's like, if I just went through a complete stage of growth and change and blah, 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 and you need some time to find that comfort zone so that you can find your footing, find your grounding. That's another thing, right? But definitely for me, like with the house, I feel like it became a comfort zone, and it was not a comfortable zone.
Right.
It was a very discomfortable zone,
But it's what you
zone.
think is what made you comfortable.
Right. And you know what I think now, looking back on it, was a major sign, is that when I think to myself, I got to try harder, it's a sign. It's a sign that I'm doing too much, that I'm doing too much in an area that's actually not benefiting me the way it should. Because with the house, it was like, I never felt like I was doing enough. Like I was never investing enough. Like I could never be there enough to do more. And it was just like, the more I did, the more I dragged my feet about it. And looking back on it, I'm like, it just took a little acceptance. It always just takes acceptance of where you are to see where you want to go. And I think that the illusion there is that we just keep our eyes peeled on that finish line. Like we keep our eyes stuck to that finish line, but we don't want to know where we start.
Yeah.
Like you don't want to know where you're starting from. So it's like, how can you literally go from point A to point B, or from wherever you are to point B, when you don't know where you are, like where you're starting from.
Exactly.
I think that's the hardest thing. But now, after all that, learning from my house, and now kind of moving into this next stage, it's actually kind of crazy too, because when I think about how I kind of handled the move and I don't know, finding people and kind of like feeling as detached as I did, I think it's super interesting, because 6 months ago, I feel like I saw myself having a harder time with it.
Oh yeah, yeah. 100%.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like you said, like you're in that position. It's hard to see inside out
Yeah.
to than seeing it outside
Right.
in.
And I think that's also ego, though, you know,
Yeah.
because ego, again, I think plays a huge part in that comfort
Right.
zone, right? Because I just think if ego is just like a survival mechanism, right? Like ego to me is like kind of reminds me of like grandma.
Right.
Like my ego.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you'll
It's
get
like,
hurt.
yeah, exactly. It's like no, 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 no. But it's like she loves me so much.
Right.
But it's like that doesn't
But it's
help
like,
me.
does she love me so much and she's gonna lie to me because
Right,
it's
right.
better for me, or is she doing it out of like pure, intention?
Yeah, and that goes back to that unconditional love, man.
Yeah.
Unconditional
And
love.
I feel like the problem is too is this causes a lot of mental health issues, especially like, for example, like you were saying, like it's hard to see that, and so sometimes when you don't know where you are or what you're doing, and you get comfortable, it's like, and then you start to see on social media people moving faster than you.
Oh.
And some people can't handle that because it's like, oh shit, I'm here, and like I thought I'm good.
Yeah,
like,
listen, I can barely handle that. There's some days where I'm like,
I mean, no, everybody.
calm down, girl.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like you think you're good, and then you see people on social media, and they're doing the things that you want to do, and then you don't know where to go from that, and then it's like, so it's like you either have to find a way, which sucks, or just keep watching it go by.
Yeah.
And,
And honestly, though, I feel like I've been in that rut before. I feel like I'm kind of there now with my social media where I really, really want to post and like really feel like myself on social media, but I'm like, how do I do that?
Right.
You know what I mean? You're like, where do you start? And I think it's the biggest illusion is feeling like somebody else's competition.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like feeling like somebody else is moving faster than you, doing something that you want to do. Because at the end of the day, no matter if I tried my best to copy somebody else's life, it literally will never be the same. And Isa and I were talking about this today, where when jealousy and like resentment comes from you trying to be somebody else and somebody else or somebody else trying to be you.
Right.
But you can never do that. So they're always going to resent you.
Right.
Or whatever, because they will never be you. Right. So the only lesson there to learn, because there's only one way out of it, is to realize that being more yourself and leaning into the things that make you an individual,
right.
the things that separate you from the crowd is your ticket, like is your golden ticket. And I feel like the more we help people individualize, which is like, I think a huge aspect of this podcast is like talking to not random people, just actually talking about random people. I did go to dinner the other night and I had a conversation with the waiter, and I definitely was like, would you ever be on a podcast to talk about religion and culture? I mean, it was super interesting.
Yeah.
But that's why I think it's important, because it's important to show that the most important thing, the thing that brings us all together and makes us one, is that we are all different. Like right. it's our ability to individualize and be like, I myself, even if we are in the same room watching the same thing, I'm having a completely different experience as the person next to me. And when you can say, wow, I get to be the one that holds this one unique experience, how amazing is that? And I can look at you and say, let's share. Like, let's share, because there's no competition.
Right.
Because mine's not better than yours, but how cool would it be to compare and contrast? Like, you were standing next to me and you could have seen something completely different. And that's when we get to like enjoy, I feel like, being human, instead of seeing like having these different opinions. And as we see everywhere, social media, politics, everything online is so, if you have an opinion and I have an opinion and it's different, it's like one has to be right.
Right.
And I feel like that is like one of the things that's just truly wrong. And I feel like that's what's led to cancel culture. That's what's led to, I think, so much of like TikTok, social media's not demise, because I don't want to say it's the demise. I think that a lot of times we have to have these problems to make things better, right? But I think the negative aspect that comes from social media is that, you know?
Yeah. Also, like, I think a big part of it is like to being individual and whatnot is just posting. Like, for example, I've told Manuela a lot. Like, every time she asks me, should I post? Should I do this? There's never one time I've told her no. I just post it. Like, literally just post it. If you even have to question yourself, post it. Because I feel like a lot of times you lose that individualism when you don't post something the first time you think about posting it, because you want to alter it so you look like somebody else.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, especially as a videographer, right, I feel like I have to hold myself to a certain standard because I'm a videographer. Like, I should know how to do what I do. But a lot of times we don't know what we're doing. We're learning at the same time as you. So I feel like a big part of that is just, like, a lot of times I'll make something, I'll think of it, and I'll literally give myself an hour to make it and post it, because it's like, who cares? You know, at the end of the day, like, I'm going to make good. I know that the content that I'm going to put out is going to be good. And I just have to believe in that. Yeah. And then whoever likes that will come.
And it's for you.
Right.
And it's for you. Like, that's something that I don't want to say I forget, but it's easy to forget, is that you need to post it just because you need to post it for you. One of the things that I think has helped me a lot with the way that I see myself and how I value myself is posting on social media.
Yeah.
Is posting pictures of myself, videos that like explain how I see the world, how I think, my perspective, because then I get to go back and reference that and remember, this is why I love myself. Like, I love that I have these perspectives. I love that I wrote about this. Right. I remember when I was feeling this way and I posted this, and like, nobody knows that was some deep, deep shit I was in.
Right.
But these people, like, it resonated with them. And like the 2 people that like messaged me about it, it's like, damn, like, that's why I did it, you know? And I feel like you're right. We get so caught up in like, there's a right and a wrong. There's a bad and there's a good. And one of the biggest lessons I think I've recently learned is that there has to be, it's not like a level of neutrality.
Right.
Because I feel like the word neutral makes it
seem
like...
There's never a balance. I don't believe in balance.
Well, no, it's the duality.
Yeah, it's just...
Duality causes
right. It's just
delusion.
just always, like, people are always finding balance, and that's just not, like, the balance is never going to happen because nothing's ever going to be perfect. So if you're looking for balance to happen, then you're never going to start or never going to do what you're going to do because it's never going to be perfect.
Okay, and kind of like interesting little analogy here. Do you know that when you're walking, when you take a walk, when you take a step, you're actually falling and catching yourself? Like, the way you walk, if you were to not put your foot out, you wouldn't catch yourself. You would just fall forward.
Right.
So this is kind of like how I see it. It's almost like you just got to keep taking those steps. Like, you take that step and you catch yourself. And until you start moving, you can't catch yourself. Like, you can't take that step. I was saying something else and I got distracted by it.
Well, and it's also like, stop posting for ulterior motives. Like, I feel like how you were saying, it's just like too many people get caught up in the, I hope this blows up. Oh, I hope this goes viral. But like, what if it doesn't? Is your life over?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Well, and that's what I was gonna say. When it comes to balance and like taking the steps, so I see it as like when you walk, you have to have balance, right?
Right.
But balance doesn't mean that you're standing in one place.
Right.
It means that you're taking a step and you're catching yourself. Exactly. You're taking a step and catching yourself. And now I see like balance takes action. Like, life continues to happen. So much continues to move when you don't move. And now that I'm learning through Isa, like, about your soul and how your soul has its own like fucking agenda, bro. That shit is going. Like, it's working. That's whether crazy. You know it or not. It's crazy. So while you have a soul purpose, so your soul is always working for that purpose. So like, you're gonna find people, you're gonna meet people, things are gonna happen. Like, but it only happens when you take action. Because if you sit on your ass and just hope for it to happen, it won't happen. And therefore you're going to get anxious because your soul is like, girl or boy, like, go, right. I got you. But you're so afraid to take that step because you're so afraid, like, what if I don't catch myself? But balance is literally that, taking a step, catching yourself. You might take a longer stride, but you'll catch yourself. And like, you posting, it's like, if you post and it freaking doesn't do well, okay, you learned. Had you not posted that, you wouldn't have learned what would work. It's like, in order for you to appreciate your success, like, in order for you to appreciate that one post that goes fucking viral, you have to be able to appreciate all the other ones that don't.
Exactly.
Like, I realize now, it's not that, like what I was saying, like, it's not like a level of neutrality you have to have where you don't feel anything, where it's like nothing affects you, but it's almost like neutrality in the sense of like, you have to love everything, because that's the language of the universe, right? Love. So when it comes to manifesting, when it comes to all these things, if you want to manifest a picture or video going viral, which I feel like I did with that one video that I posted. I literally posted a 3-second clip on vacation, and I had just been thinking, like, a few days before that, I was just talking to David, thinking about like posting and thinking about, content. And I thought to myself, like, look, one day, one picture, one video, whatever, one day it will go viral. Like, one day it will happen. I don't have to worry about it, because I know if I just keep going, it's inevitable. It's inevitable. Consistency will always outweigh everything else. It is inevitable. Literally within the week, I had a video. It surprised me so much that I didn't even it surprised me, but almost didn't surprise me. And I feel like it was one of the first posts where I was like, oh, I understand now that level of neutrality. It's like, I was happy for it. I was like grateful that it was happening, but I also didn't feel like it defined my career on Instagram. Like, I appreciate it for what it was. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean that I love it more than anything else I've posted. You know what I mean? Like I find so much value in the other things I've posted that it's like the views don't really change the value of that content. And I feel like that feels the best. It's like when you can consistently post for you, then no matter whether it goes viral or not, you have this level of appreciation for the work that you've put out, to where I'm like, how beautiful is it that these people that have found me now have all my other work to look on, to see and to gather from who I am. So it's not about that one piece. It's about those little building blocks. I almost think about like you kind of like create who you are, like you show who you are through that.
Yeah. And I think a good example is like you go on TikTok, especially TikTok, and you see a person and they have an idea and they continue that idea and they don't stop doing it, right? So it's like, for example, you know, I'm going to try a job, and then the comment section will tell them what the next job is. If you look back on their profiles, they probably have 1,000 random videos that they made, but one hit. Yeah. That one idea hit, and that's the rest of the videos that they're going to make on TikTok, because they went, okay, I'm just going to keep trying. I'm going to keep chipping. Okay, this idea finally hit. All right, this is what I'm going to start making, because this is what's going to consistently give me views. Now, that's different. You know, if you know that one idea is going to get you views, why not exploit that? It makes sense. But if you think that, oh, I'm going to post this and this has to go viral or not, like if it doesn't, like I'm not going to post anymore.
Or even if you don't like it, like here's my issue. It's like if you are posting things you don't like to talk about, you don't enjoy, and you do go viral.
Right.
And now you have to sustain something that you're not really into.
Right.
What's the point?
No, yeah.
Like social media is supposed to be fun.
Exactly.
I feel like social media, I feel that we're kind of at a point where I feel like my generation and your generation, because my generation is kind of like the one, you guys had Instagram and stuff like coming up, but it kind of came to us in like high school. Like we kind of were like, oh shit, we're like going to jump into the social media thing. Like all after MySpace, like Facebook kind of comes around. Now we have Instagram and then Musical.ly and then TikTok, whatever. So it's like, we kind of like jumped in it, and now I think we're kind of reverting back to like wait, this has gone out of hand. Instagram used to be just fun. Photos. Yeah, like Instagram used to be fun. Like Instagram used to just be random shit. The first picture actually is really funny.
Or Vine.
Yeah, or Vine.
Like Vine used to be funny.
Exactly. So I think the first actual post that I ever made on Instagram was, I was in art class, and I think it was like a picture of, his name was Alex, the kid in art class. He had drawn like a little shroom on a paper, and I took a picture of it, and I literally used the Instagram editing like filters and stuff. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I remember those filters. They were great.
Wild. Yeah. It was so wild. It was like completely yellow with like the corners that were like black.
Yeah, it's a funny thing too, because like like you said, like I feel like I'm in the middle, because I didn't get it super, like I didn't get it in high school like you did, right? I got it like towards middle school. So I kind of like had a little more time to really get onto it. And people before me were on it. So I kind of got just photos, doing it for fun. And now it's like, it's more people are doing it for income and stuff like that. And it's a hard thing, especially because I started in photography. So Instagram for me in the beginning was showing my artwork, showing my photos and stuff like that. And I think Instagram has become a dying art form. Like it's just not like a lot of times we're not really doing it for the art of it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to portray in my work, is more like
I love that.
I do like do more informational stuff. I do informational stuff as well, because I think it's good for people to learn. But I think that's why I do a lot more cinematic stuff and whatnot, because I think Instagram is a dying art form in general. Like posting photos, they don't go viral. They don't. No, you like only your followers are gonna see them.
Right, because it just doesn't monetize for Instagram.
Right, and they also don't want to push them, because it's not as easy. And TikTok is blowing up, and it's whatever. So it's hard. And even like which I'm gonna make a video on this, but even horizontal video is a dying art form, because it's and
it's
you know YouTube is keeping it alive a lot as well. But it's just like, you go to the movies, you're watching a horizontal video, and that's where a lot of cinematics come from, is horizontal video. And don't get me wrong, vertical video is beautiful and it can work well, but it's just like, it really shows you the transition of like, they don't care about your TV, they don't care about the movie theaters, they don't care. They want your phone, because they know they can monetize off the phone, because that's where people are watching.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's a crazy shift, especially with Instagram, because it's like, sorry Instagram, but you kind of copy every idea that comes out. I mean, stories, Snapchat, TikTok, you be in Reels.
But I give them kudos though, because
100%.
It's just like they freaking
Yeah.
take that shit and make more and more money with it. It's crazy.
I just wish like the algorithm was a lot better.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. It's just I feel like it's
that
so
it felt
janky.
more fair.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. It's more janky, and it's also like I said with the photos, like I don't want to say anything wrong, but it's just like I feel like if you're not doing anything very flattering, it's not getting pushed at all. Like if I'm taking the most beautiful photo of Antarctica compared to a girl that's shaking ass on Instagram, it's gonna be shown shaking ass. You know what I mean? And
100%.
Yeah.
Which was my not frustration, because it wasn't frustration, but it was my realization when my video went viral, because it was like, of course it's like a 3-second video of me that I honestly didn't think was as valuable as other shit that I've made, that I've spent so much time on, that I feel like had a message, that I feel like I used keywords. I didn't have any captions. I didn't use any words. I didn't do anything except like I wanted to post this video because I'm like, you know what? I'm proud that I look like this last day on vacation after being at an all-inclusive.
And that goes back to what you said. It's frustrating. Like it's frustrating because things that you want to work might not work, but you have to keep doing it until it does work.
But I think that the only way to freaking combat that literally is for more people to be genuine and do what they genuinely believe in. And it's like, okay, sure, you won't get as many views, but your audience will be there because of fucking you, not because of just your titties. And like, I'm cool. You can be here for both. You know what I mean? Like, this is where the duality comes in. This is the balance. It's like being able to be like, you can be a little bit of everything. You can. But you also shouldn't be in a position where you feel like if you are not showing your body, then you can't grow on social media. And I think that to me feels a little crazy.
Yeah. And I talked about it the other day too, because especially as a videographer, like I said, like I want to show art, like I want to do cinematography. It's like I've come to the realization, and I think a lot of people should think about it like this too. It's like, look at a girl's Instagram that's popping, that's doing well because she's doing that type of videos. Her audience, her views are never good, and when they are, it depends. It's very, because she'll have 3 million followers, but she'll have
20,000 views.
And it'll be really bad or whatever, and it's very whatever. But yet I don't have a big following yet, and it's gonna keep growing. But the thing is, my audience is gonna grow because the people that are watching my content genuinely enjoy my content.
And that's the freaking beauty in it all. Like when you cultivate an actual community, an actual audience, you don't have to be perfect because they see themselves in you. They're like, fuck, finally somebody that's normal. Like, I get it. And to see you grow, now you have people that are watching you that are like, damn, David, you've grown so much in the past year. Dang, I love this video. I can't believe they see the progress that you make. That's another reason why you shouldn't be afraid to post as you go, which is what I feared a lot in the beginning, is like not being good enough to post. Like, I don't have the right cameras. I don't have the blah, blah, blah. But it's like, there's something about you growing and showing that change that people really appreciate, because they can see the hard work and they can see your dedication and intention behind it. And that's what I think makes, and I've always been, like, I've always said that, like, I wouldn't trade my audience for anything in the whole world, because I feel like I've developed so many genuine friendships that you and I, hopefully within the next coming up year, will be traveling and meeting a lot of people that I've met strictly through social media, that we've connected, that I feel like we have a genuine relationship, and it's because of that genuine connection online. And it is sad, because I also think that if you are trying to grow a business and if you are trying to market yourself, it is important that you make a connection with people, because like you said, let's say something happens and you can't post a bikini pic, or you can't post something that not that I want to say like doesn't come easy to you, or that you don't enjoy, but like, let's say you can't be consistent with that thing anymore. One thing you can always be consistent with is who you are, and your honesty, and where you are in life, and like your perspectives. Like, your mind will remain consistent no matter what your outer appearance looks like. And what I mean by consistent is like, you're allowed to change, you're allowed to grow, but you are always going to be you. But no one knows who you are unless you show them. And that's where I'm kind of learning, where it's like, I always have this little thought in my head where it's like, lean into who you are. And then when you think you're leaning in, lean in a little bit harder. Because you have to be you so unapologetically that like nothing else matters. Like, you don't feel the need to compare. You end up loving yourself so much because you see yourself fully, but you really can't love yourself fully until you see yourself fully. You know, and I think that for me, that's been a really cool exercise, like practicing on social media, like putting myself out there and being like, you know what, I like this little perspective that I have, you know, like I'll share it in this little video or in a post or in a story.
Yeah.
And then when I get to rewatch that, it just reiterates to me who I am. And then I think that, like you said, I think that that's what really is going to keep an audience consistent.
Exactly.
But it is.
And it's learning. Like, it's like, I feel like even with me, I feel like I had to get over my anxiety in general, not even anxiety of like a specific thing. Like, genuinely, I had to feel like I had to get over like my own anxieties.
I'm sorry. I don't even know why I'm laughing.
No, it's fine. I mean,
no, I just think it's funny because you're like, I just had to get over all of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's like you have to think of yourself first, right? It's like if you can't even get yourself to post, can you
handle
right?
Can you handle an audience?
People get there,
right?
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So like I had to get over my own anxieties to even get into a point where like I'm like, let me just post, bro. Like, what is stopping me? Like, just post, because I feel like a lot of people, and going back to mental health, it's like it's really just your mental health. Like, if you don't deal with yourself first, how do you ever expect to do anything else?
Yeah.
Like, how do you, like, for
if
example,
you're
love,
your biggest enemy,
right, like even love, it's like, how are you gonna love someone else if you can't love yourself?
Yeah.
It's like, how are you gonna fall in love with the process if you can't love the process?
Yeah, and if you can't love yourself enough to invest the time into the process, like, it really, I mean, you're touching. I didn't pay him to even say that, but that's definitely on brand.
Yeah.
I think that literally everything stems from you, and that anxiety, a lot of times, every time, is that alarm system, right? It's like it's giving us a warning to something, and usually it's an unhealed something. It's a mentality, it's a cycle, it's something that we're stuck in that we believe is going to hurt us, right? Like something is going to hurt, and so our body goes off and says, "Hey, stop, slow down. It's going to hurt. It's going to hurt real bad." And the closer you get to the thing that's going to hurt you, like let's say it's public speaking and it gives you anxiety. The closer you get to that date, the more stressed you're going to be, the more anxiety you're going to feel. Why? Because that moment is what you're so afraid of, that being seen, right? So it's like, but the most beautiful thing about it is that everything is love. So even your anxiety is yourself loving yourself, right? Is yourself protecting yourself from something,
right?
Because the anxiety outweighs the fear, right? Like the anxiety, even though it's hurting you, it's still not going to hurt you as bad as the thing that it's trying to protect you from.
Right.
So it's like when we can acknowledge, like, okay, yes, and we can. I always say call it by its name, like demonic possessions, like when you tell the devil, like when you.
We're actually gonna do an exorcism.
And on that note, let me get up. But in all like the possession movies, it's always the priest who's like trying to get the demon to tell him its name.
Yeah.
And so for some reason, I feel like that with like mental health stuff, especially with anxiety, because it is like an alarm system.
Right.
And I think it's like the devil, like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like the devil, like always before it says its name, it gets louder and louder and louder, gets close to killing you. You feel like the world's going to end. And then if you can call it by its name, if you can say like, oh, like follow it, follow the uncomfortable, keep talking to yourself, ask yourself questions. Like, okay, if I go to this place, would it give me anxiety? If I spoke in front of this person, would it give me anxiety? If I spoke in front of this person, would it give me anxiety? Is it because it's in front of a lot of people? Is it because it's start asking yourself, get to know yourself, because then when you can say, oh, I have anxiety because I'm speaking in front of a lot of people. When was the last time I spoke in front of a lot of people? Oh, I was in second grade and I threw up.
Right.
Oh, got it. Call it by its name.
Right.
Once you can really see it for what it's worth and you realize it's not a tiger and a kitten, then you can kind of move forward, and then you can really love and appreciate that anxiety, you know?
And I feel like literally tying it all the way back to the beginning, it's like there's a first step. The problem is that you don't realize that there's a first step. Like, cold turkey isn't working for a lot of people. You know what I mean? Like, you can't cold turkey a lot of things. Like, people can't just stop doing something or change their life in a matter of seconds.
Even though that's like the way that 99.9% of people think and want to.
But what you can do is change one thing.
Yeah.
And if you change that one thing, then another thing's going to change.
Yeah.
And then you can change another thing. And I feel like if you just really sat down and think about like, that's what it took me. I had to sit down and I had to, what's it causing this anxiety? Oh, okay, well, I had one bad experience while I was in a crowd and, it gave me a little bit of social anxiety. Okay, so why am I getting anxiety every time I go to a festival? Oh, maybe because I got social anxiety one time and then I let it affect me for the rest of the times. And then you really realize, like, I'm here, I'm present, I want to have a good time. Why am I letting this stop me?
Right, there's no immediate dangers.
And poof.
Yeah.
I called it by its name.
Crazy.
And right then my head realized, like, oh, we're causing ourselves self-harm And that's not better than giving him anxiety because it's actually not stopping him from doing anything wrong.
Damn. I'm proud of you for that.
It's the truth.
That's tough, though.
It's hard.
It's hard.
No, it's hard.
You know,
it took me like a year.
No, seriously. And one of the most important things, and something I've discussed so many times on this podcast, I feel like it comes up every single time that I talk, and it's transparency. It's honesty. It's like, you couldn't call it by its name if you can't get freaking honest with yourself. Like, you need to, again, know that starting point. You need to know who you are. And this is what we were talking about yesterday. You have to take a life inventory. Yeah. You have to be able to sit down and say, like literally a life audit, I should call it, where you can sit down and say, like, okay, this is the truth. This is the reality.
Acknowledge it.
Right. This is the reality of the situation. Like, write down the good, the bad, the ugly, the whatever. But it's like, when you can come to terms and accept the reality, then you're not playing with imaginary monsters anymore.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
That's a tough one. And it's really funny that we are kind of tying it back to the beginning because I feel like getting out of the comfat zone and all of this literally takes that. It takes honesty. And that's what happened to me. It was a little microdose. Yeah. And then I really sat there and realized, like, I don't want to invest in this house anymore. Like, this doesn't make me happy. And at what point, if it's not making you happy, it's doing the opposite, right? Like, it's draining me. It's not moving me forward. Exactly. Like, and then I started to really think about, again, because you do have to, it all stems from you. So I really thought to myself, like, okay, what is this bringing me? What is this benefiting me? Right. How is this for me? And bro, none of those answers came back to me. Yeah. I was like, yo, I could honestly care less. It was to the point where I was thinking to myself, like, damn, like, I should have just left. Yeah. Like, I mean, no offense, but like, if he walked out, I was like, I could have done the same thing, because I really don't have that attachment that I thought I did. And now that I feel like released from that and getting rid of so much stuff, and now we're back in the house, and I feel like this whole year has been like me working through like family stuff. Just like, because I think this year I also realized like how much your childhood plays into like what you believe, who you are, your programming, things like that. Even just like the whole being seen on social media, and like, or even just, it's crazy because even positive things that you've heard about yourself throughout your life can like affect you. Yeah. Because even like hearing like, I've always been a good speaker, and I'm like, fuck, have I always been a good speaker? I don't know. Like, what is a bad speaker? When am I talking bad? Like, I don't know. So it's like, it's everything. Yeah. Everything has to do with you. Yeah. And it's like such a mind fuck, because it's like, we're individuals. We have to be for ourselves, by ourselves, and then from there we can pour into other people's cups. But also, every single thing that's ever happened to you has affected you and created you. Exactly. So it's like this crazy, again, not balance, but like duality in it all, where it's like you have to accept everything as it comes, and like you are a little bit of everything, and so is everyone. Right.
And it might take healing your inner child.
Oh, bro. Like, I think everybody needs to do that.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's like, it's different for everybody. Like, what is causing all these things to you might be that inner child. Like, what is actually holding you back is that maybe in the past those things held you back, and what you don't realize is you're doing it to yourself, because that's what you've always believed in. Right. You know, I feel like,
or even it's like somebody else's voice. Like, have you ever had any of those exercises where like you have a thought come up and you're like, damn, I've had this thought before, and then you really, if you sit down with it, you can kind of hear that it's not your voice. Yeah. There have been so many thoughts in my head that have been my mom. So many thoughts that are like my mom's voice. Like, a lot of my anxiety, like the anxiety that I thought I had, it wasn't my anxiety. It was my grandma's anxiety, which was then passed on to my mom, and now my mom passed it on to me. Right. And it's not even conscious, again, because it's all from love. It's just how that's like a whole nother conversation though, because it's like, that's when we have to really practice that unconditional love. Right. Like, allowing people to be themselves is the ultimate form of love, right? But sometimes I feel like we do love some people so much that we fear we see more than them, or we fear that something's going to hurt them. And now that I'm going through the healing process myself, I realize that you can learn from people, but there's lessons that you are just going to have to learn on your own. 100%. And you have to experience. And you trying to get somebody to the finish line faster, that can't happen. No, it can't happen. I mean, honestly, one of the biggest lessons in that was like growing up with mom and dad, because my parents came here from Colombia. They worked hard to start a business, to make a living for us, to then almost not want us to ever suffer or ever face adversity. But it's like that tough love is also letting us grow,
right.
you know, and like
well, it's like a kid. It's like a lot of kids that don't have any bodies and all this and whatnot is because their parents try to shelter them too much as a kid,
right.
and didn't let them become a kid. You know, it's like you have to go through your own things so that you can only grow for them. Like if you don't ever fall, how do you get back up?
Right.
Because you've always been up. So then when you fall, it's going to hit a lot harder.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Ultimately, I feel like a big lesson from our conversation is that duality in life. It's like that ups and down. It's like you have to embrace the good as much as you embrace the bad, and you have right, good and bad. Because what is good and bad if it's all moving you towards your purpose?
Exactly.
Right? It's like, and I think that's a huge point. It's like you can't say something is good or bad when it is all working for you.
Exactly.
Right? So that's a little practice for you guys out there if you guys want to remind yourself of that throughout the day. Recently, David was experiencing some car trouble, and I recently came to embody finally the understanding that like everything really is for me. I think it's different to say it and then another one to like really feel it. And I feel it now where it doesn't always have to make sense.
Right.
And David and I had been having that conversation where it's like nothing really has to make sense. We just have to accept that the universe, God, flying spaghetti monster, whatever you want to call it, is always working for us because the language of the universe is love.
Right.
And if we align our intentions with love, then we're always being guided. We don't have to do anything. We do not even have to think because our soul and our purpose is already in motion. We just have to show up. And for me personally, I feel like it's that fear of failure. It's that fear of being seen. Right. It's that, you know, that starts to catch up with you, and social media plays such a huge part in that. Just because I think it's the culture. Right. I think that they whoever runs all social media, they feed off that. Right. That's how they get you to keep going. That's how they get you to reinvent. That's how they get you to stay hungry. That's how they get you. It's like they make you feel a little shitty about yourself. Yeah. Yeah. And so then you just kind of like
have to do better.
Yeah. And but if you can like hold steady, knowing that it's all part of the process. There is no good. There is no bad. Mm-hmm. There is doing with pure intentions, and there's doing with poor intentions. Yep. That's really all there is. And if you can find love. If this is the way I love to think about Valentino as like my North Star, like because he's my nephew and he just turned 6.
Funny enough you say it. Sorry, funny if you say that because I really want to do a star, like a little star, because this is for Valentino.
That's cute.
I don't know. But I got this tattoo because of Valentino because he loves space. Yeah, and I really all the planets. Yeah, so that'd be cute to do like a little star right here.
That'd be so cute. But or a little constellation, like with all like the family stars. That'd be cute.
That'd be cute.
But Valentino is like my North Star. I actually had a meditation. I don't know if I told you about this. I was doing a meditation, and I've had a couple meditations where like I don't love to use the word channeling because I feel like I don't feel like I'm
like you're not like I mean? Contacting. Or
like, I almost feel like not worthy to use the word channeling. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like channeling sounds like something that is only allowed for like I don't know. I don't even know.
The higher ups.
yeah, the higher ups. But I was meditating, and I don't know how to explain it, but like there's this voice in my head. Mm-hmm. It wasn't like my voice, but it sounds like my voice. Okay, and it's like my higher self. Okay. I always refer to this voice as my higher self. I heard her during my DMT trip. And that's why I know, because I heard her so clearly during that like I know her. Right. And I know that her is me. Like I've already figured that one out. And so I heard, and now I understand that this is like your soul speaking. Yeah. Like I heard my soul. And so I was doing this meditation, and I all of a sudden hear this voice that says to me, like, if you ever forget, look at Valentino. If you ever forget how to love yourself, look at Valentino. The way that what you would do for him is what you should do for yourself. The way you see him is how you should see yourself, because that is unconditional love. The way I feel for my nephew is that he is perfect as he is. Not a thing on him would I ever change. And I love him for who he is. Right? So why is it, if that is what unconditional love is, why is it that if I look in the mirror, I find something wrong? Why is it that if I mess up, I get like down on myself? I'm like, I'm a piece of shit. I would never tell my nephew that he's a piece of shit for making a mistake.
Right.
I would celebrate his mistakes and be like, you learned, like it's incredible. So I think that it's important that if you can find a North Star when it comes to unconditional love, and by unconditional, I mean you see that perfect person as perfect as they are. You want to celebrate them for what they are, okay? Just as we do babies, just as we do puppies, whatever, my nephew. And that is what you need to lead with. That is the type of intention that you need to have with everything, where it's like with our Instagram posts. It's like, as silly as it sounds, it's the same energy. The same energy that I love my nephew with, it should be the same energy I do everything with. Right. Post on Instagram, upload this podcast, talk to you, talk to strangers. It's that same frequency. It's that love frequency that is going to carry you through everything. And that's the neutrality. That's the neutrality I'm speaking of. It's just a constant tone of unconditional love for every single moment. If you can do that, then when you are in a moment of uncertainty and you can find that feeling, it'll guide you. It'll lead you. You will go to where you find love. You will move away from things that don't feel like love, because you'll start to see how love can be fake, how people can fake things and have not intentions that are not set in that purity.
Yeah.
But I think that if you can really find someone in your life that you love unconditionally, if you can't find it in yourself, because let me tell you, bitch, that shit grows inside you first. The only reason you can feel it for anybody else is because you created it inside of you. Nobody injected you with the ability to feel unconditional love. That is a chemical balance that you are creating when you feel that.
Yeah.
So you can own that, and if you can practice feeling that, then you can practice applying that to everything. And love in manifesting is the highest frequency. That's how you attract everything you do, is when you move with love. So if you can post and love what you post, it does not matter whether it goes viral or not.
Right.
That energy is being sent into the universe, and you don't need to know why you didn't get views. You don't need to know. Everything is so perfect that it's going to work out exactly as it should anyway. So there's no need to stress about it. I feel like I'm talking to myself this whole time.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we all are when we speak. Yeah. But I feel like with me too, it's like I've always had like a weird, not weird, I don't think it's weird, but I've always had like this certain attachment to the word love, because I feel like nowadays love is thrown around too easily.
Okay.
I think you should love what you do. I think you should have love for everything. But the thing I think is we lost the meaning of love.
Yeah.
Because we sometimes throw it around too easily. So for me, like when I say I love something, like I want to wholeheartedly mean it. I don't want to just say it, because I feel like words have a lot more power than we give it. You know what I mean? So I feel like also it's just like realizing, like, when you throw that word around, like, make sure you mean it. Because if you're just saying it to say it, it has nothing behind it. Right. And it's never going to work in your favor.
And like, right. Like you have to feel it.
Right.
You have to feel it. Or at least you have to be working towards it to where I don't love it yet. Yeah. But the goal is to love this. Right. And I'm saying I love it. And this helps, like, if you are struggling to find love within yourself, to look at yourself in the mirror in the morning and say these things and like talk to yourself the way you would talk to somebody you would love. Right. But I agree. I think that unfortunately the word, it's not even like the word love. It's just, I think society. Yeah. I think as society has changed, like, it's caused so much shifting in what we define as love. Yeah. Especially because it's like, if you think about what the woman was in the 1940s versus what she is now, it's like, I think to myself, like, I feel like husbands love their wives for different reasons. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like everything is just so different because we've also moved out of a space of pure necessity. Like, I feel like if you look at, like, what is it, like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's like the first couple of needs are like that physical like needs, like shelter, food, whatever. But we're moving up, and the higher we move up and the less needs we have, like more needs that are fulfilled, the more time, space, and energy we have for ascension, for feeling those higher frequency emotions, for experiencing those things. So I feel like now it's kind of like this shift where it's like there's the old way of thinking where people think it's love, right? But it's not unconditional, right? It's maybe it's admiration, maybe, but if it's not unconditional love, then it's not actually love. There's only one type of love, and it's unconditional love, right? And unconditional love does not force, does not change, does not alter. It's like a warm, fuzzy feeling that coats things, but it's not a force that will go in and, I don't want to say go in and change because it does cause changes, but it's never by force.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like there's nothing aggressive, I feel like, about unconditional love. And I feel like when people use the word love, they'll be like, because I love you, you know, it's like, I don't want you to do these things because I love you, but why didn't you do this? I love you. It's like you holding it against you. Exactly. It's like, if that's not unconditional love.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. It's just like, I don't know. I think even with like my other relationships, like I've only ever said it when I've really felt like I actually love them. And it's not that I had great admiration towards them. It's just that like I feel like I want to say it when like I truly feel it, because it's like, other than that, it's like, am I saying it just to say it? Yeah. To fulfill someone else's love? Yeah. You know? And I feel like even when you say you love yourself, like make sure you say it because you mean it. Like you should love yourself, you know? And like I feel like you shouldn't just say it because you feel like you need to hear it. Yeah. You know? And that's what I'm getting at, is like I feel like we shouldn't say it just because we want to hear it. Like make sure you're putting it like
the intention behind it, the feeling behind it. Like, yeah,
because it's like putting out a word into the universe. It's like it's never gonna do anything unless you actually meant it. Yeah. You know?
100%. I say all the time, like, intention is everything. That's why I say you don't need to think about anything because you've already set your intention. If you work on yourself at a soul level, your soul is where you create from. Your soul already knows what's coming for you, already knows what you want. So when it comes to manifesting, when it comes to getting what you want, your soul is already going because you already have that intention in you. Exactly. So everything starts to line up for that intention. But if you are, you know, having the intention of like, you know, I actually want the demise of my enemies from work, but then you go in and you're like, oh my God, I love you guys. Right. You're not creating love. You're creating from your intention, which is toxic waste to you more than it is to anybody. But it's true. It's literally all intention. So if you can work on becoming somebody who, and hold on before I always do this. I always like never finish a sentence and I edit it and I'm like, Manuela, you just stop mid-sentence, which I don't even know what I was going to say. So I'm moving on. But see, and I just got distracted again. What was I going to say? Something about love. I don't know. How long have we been filming?
I don't know. It'll tell you on the recorder. Give me a check.
Okay, we're at 57. Oh. Okay. Shit's moving. Honestly, before we started talking, I was like, what are we going to talk about? I don't have nothing to talk about with my brother. Yeah. And then we started talking. I'm like, shit. Like, we haven't even touched the topics that I thought we were going to touch, to be honest with you. But I definitely don't want to start the conversation now because I think that's a whole other conversation. Right. But honestly, tomorrow we should film. I'm done. I want to talk about me moving back into the house. Mm-hmm. And honestly, kind of like the closing of the cycle of like, you lived with me, you moved out, us working together, like communication, just like how we've changed as individuals in order to like work together better. Because I think that I haven't talked to you a lot about that journey for you since you've moved in here. But now we're literally roomies again. Yeah. And I feel like this next month is kind of like a lot of chapters of mine closing and a lot of new chapters opening. And I feel like as mine are closing and opening, so are yours. Right. Which is like really cool and really exciting. But yeah, we'll keep this one short and sweet. We'll keep you wanting more.
For the next one.
Yeah, for the next one. We're going to be putting on, I'm going to be putting up episodes every day for the next 30 days because we fucking we want to. No, actually, you know what? I'll be real with you. Podcasting is one of those things. It's just one of them things that scare the absolute shit out of me. I don't know what it is about it. Something about it makes me real nervous. And I don't know why, because I love it. And I think that it's like, I love it so much that I want it to be perfect. Right. And I'm like, but what if people don't like it? But what, blah, blah, blah. But there's something so beautiful that happens when you start recording on a podcast. Mm-hmm. It's like, I enjoy the conversation. I enjoy being able to sit here without phones, listening to what each other has to say, no matter what. And I think that okay, then I guess it's over. The camera just turned off. Okay, so we're back. I love that you didn't even
put it. God.
It don't matter. Yeah, it don't matter. So we're going to sign off. Thank you guys for hanging out with us today on the Manuela Method. David, nice to have you on. First time. Yeah. Won't be the last, especially not now that we're going to be posting every single day and living together. Next episode, we'll definitely talk about what it's like to be grown adults living back home with your parents.
Right.
And what that's doing to our dating life.
Yeah. Oh, God. Let's skip that one.
Yeah. No, honestly, cuffing season, bro. That's another episode.
Oh, yeah. We were going to talk about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to talk about that.
Because you and I be cuffed. And I don't know if I want to stay that way. I still got time to get out. Okay, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
I don't
let me
want
not
to hurt
speak
nobody's
on
feelings. Yeah. I'm just kidding. Anyway, okay. I love you guys. We will see you guys next time. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. And like always, it's all love. Love you guys. That was fun.
I think I'm breaking Mom's chair right now.
It's crazy how it picks up every sound.
And then now we can record here.
Watch it. Confirm it.
But we switched.
Oh. God forbid.
Yeah, no, it's recording. Perfect. Both audio levels are coming in.
Wow.